here we go. Welcome back to the FSBC Stuckey Library author interview. And it's with a slight little bit of a twist because Alaskan Outsider is not just an author, she's a major organizer of banks. So straight off the bat, how did you even get into the fandom?
So to talk about how I got into Stuckey fandom, I do have to start from how I got into fandom. So I started writing fic at the age of 14 on Wattpad.
We'll forgive you for that.
Pause for a minute for anybody who goes,
no, it's all good. We can forgive you for that.
But I stopped writing altogether because I reread my stuff. And I was like, no. But I started with The Outsiders, hence Alaskan Outsider.
There you go.
That name didn't actually come around until a year ago, though. That's when it came to my mind. But I stopped writing, and then I got back into it a year ago with a friend. We wrote an entire Outsiders fan fiction that we posted on Wattpad. Oh, people might actually look at that now. Oh, no. Anyway, I'm actually kind of proud of it. It was really good. But we wrote it, and then I was like, you know what? This was really fun because I collabed with this girl. Literally didn't know her. I sent her a DM on Wattpad, and I was like, I love your fics. You should write something like this. And she was like, why don't we write it together? I was like, oh my God. So we collabed, we wrote a fic, and then I was like, wait, this was awesome. Like having another person who liked something. And so the pandemic had just started. I was watching all of the Marvel movies in timeline order, starting with Captain America, the First Avenger. And my brain, the moment I watched Captain America, the First Avenger, I was like, that's gay. That is so gay. And I was like, there have got to be people who think that's gay. So I went to Tumblr, of course.
As you do.
As you do when you think of something fandom-y, right? And I looked up Stuckey fandom, like servers, Stuckey fandom groups and things. And there was a link for a Discord server, and I clicked on it, and I regret that. But I clicked on it, and I joined the server, and it was like, oh, this is my first thing in fandom. It was not a good experience. There was a lot of people in the server, not really great people. I'm not going to name the server. It wasn't my favorite. And so I was about to quit when I was following the Stuckey tag on Tumblr, and I saw a notification for somebody who was looking for a bang mod. This first step into fandom, I was quitting fandom after only a month of talking to people. I was like, I'm done. Like, I can't. And then I saw this thing, and I was like, I don't know what a bang is, but I know what a moderator is. So I think I can help. And I sent her an email about how I was a kindergarten teacher's aide for a year, because in high school, I volunteered my morning classes. I went to the elementary school next door to my high school, and I helped the kindergarten teacher teach to a bunch of students whose second language was English. A lot of them were Filipino and Samoan and stuff like that. And none of these kids had spoken English before they entered her classroom, and she was from Brazil, so her first language was Portuguese. And so I was like, you know what, I'll do this. So I went to the school, and I worked with the kids in the morning, and I helped them a lot. And so I got used to like working with kids, and I was like, you know what, adults can be like children sometimes. And I'm not saying that to offend anyone, but adults can be like children sometimes.
Oh, definitely.
So I used my kindergarten teacher experience, or teacher's aide experience, because I'm not going to claim the right of a teacher because they work way harder. I just made copy papers and separated the kids into groups when she needed it.
But you still had that experience with wrangling people who don't want to be wrangled.
Wrangling people who don't want to be wrangled, creating rules that would make a group of people who don't necessarily always want to listen to them, just dealing with arguments that come up. And of course, children fight over the pettiest of things. So that was experience. So I sent her an email and I was like, hey, I have never done anything in fandom before. I don't even know what a bang is, but I'm really good at solving arguments. And she was like, you know what? If I need another mod like that, I'll do it. She had I think 10 people reply. I'm not sure the exact number. And I was one of the 3 she picked. And
wow.
I was like, I've never done a bang before. But then I found out.
So had you actually even written anything for Stucky at this point? Or was it just...
I had the first 2 chapters of Take You to Your Heaven out at this point. Nothing else.
Radio.
I had literally just made my archive of our own account. Just a month earlier from this email. So no, not even a toe dipped. And I was like, I'll do a bang. And then I found out she's never run a bang before either.
Oh
so we were all like, okay.
So obviously then bangs have been around for a lot longer than what you've been involved in the fandom.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm still learning. It was only, I think it was a conversation with T with Oh I Swear, where it was, what's the difference between a bang and a reverse bang? And it's one is the art comes first. I knew that much, but I couldn't work out which was which.
I run both, so I can explain both.
Okay, so give me the rundown, and because I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who don't understand what it is as well. So give me the basic rundown of what is a bang.
So a bang is when a bunch of authors and artists get together, and the authors write fic, and then we go through a process that's called claims, where you pair them up to artists who are willing to create content based on the work. So a lot of the times for some bangs, the work is already complete before it is handed off to artists. In my bang's case, it's not. It's 50% done. And then we're like, here you go, artists, here's 50% of the fic. Let's see if you can find something to draw from. To which most of the time they can, because artists are extremely talented people who honestly, when you hand them this stuff, you expect, even if you think there's nothing in there, they always find something.
Yeah.
They always find something. And the claims process is really easy for participants, I should say. Easy for participants, because we create little slides that have, this is the supposed rating, what it's gonna end up as. Most people do explicit fic, some people don't, but okay, so this fic is going to be explicit. These are all of the pairs, including the side pairings. These are all of the tags, including warnings, not just archive of our own warnings, but any trigger warnings that are going to happen. And then here's a summary of the fic. And then artists give us a list of fics that they want to do, and then we pair them up based on the fics. Or in some cases, depending on the mod, they don't give a list. It's first come, first serve, which I'll get into later. But so that's a bang. And then at the end, they work with their artists, they get the art out, they talk about how they're going to post, and then they post on their posting day or posting week or whatever that time. And then mods, we make sure to double check their posting, make sure that it's complete, check to make sure that it's betaed, check to make sure that the artist and the authors are having a good time. We're in constant communication, hey, if you're having any issues with your partner, let us know. We can possibly work this out. And then posting happens, and we post and we put it on the collections, and we're always available, so that way we can click, yes, this belongs in our collection. And, we put it out there for the world. We create all of the promo stuff. We do all of the advertising, and we do all of the behind the scenes work that y'all don't really see, because, we are hyping the fics. That's what we want, right? So we put all that out there, and then we say, see you guys next year, and people sign up next year or they don't. And reverse bangs are kind of the opposite. You start with art, and then you pair artists to the art. You pair authors to the art using for me, I do slides, and I make the slide the same thing, like rating of the art, pairings in the art, warnings, tag warnings, and everything. But instead of putting the art piece on the slide, I like to do a Google like share link just to view, so that way somebody doesn't click a slide, and if there's like something, like self-harm or something on it, it doesn't like pop up as like, whoa, like they have a warning in the tags before they click it. It also depends on the moderator. Everybody mods differently. Every bang that you come to, and depending on the mod, it will always be different. Which is why like T, she says that she signs up for a lot of my bangs, and I swear signs up for a lot of my bangs, and it's because she knows my bang style. And she knows how I do things. And I did the reverse bang when did I started that right after Shrunky ended last year. So it posted in January. I did that. That was my first ever reverse bang. Like ever. I barely even knew what a reverse bang was when I started it. I was still going off the art comes first, work comes last. I was thinking, okay, so it's going to be just like running a bang. It was not.
Oh wow.
There was some trial and errors, and I actually I've been told by a lot of participants that it ran really smoothly, but if they saw my side, they would know it did not. I was like behind the screen freaking out, like, what is happening?
I was gonna say, well, it would take a certain amount of organization to keep everything going in the right direction and the right path. And so from our conversations, I'm going to lean down towards the side that you're not naturally organized, and so this is putting in a lot of effort to do it. What do you use? A Trello board? Do you use a notebook?
I have to give a shout out to Kokuria for the Trello, because I didn't even know what that was until 2 weeks ago. That's the wrong binder. Hold on. See, like we said, not naturally organized.
That's all good.
This is my event binder. Hold on. This is my event pairing notebook.
Oh my god.
And this is my planner.
I love that you're so old school with it. Look, I have enough trouble keeping together my notes for these interviews, right? At the moment, I've got Zoom happening on the laptop. I have my list of notes of what to talk about on the iPad. I have on the phone, I have, the archives open on your page so that I can know what I'm referring to, even though I do kind of know most of it because I'm, an idiot like that. But it's one of those things. It's like, it's insane. Like I really appreciate the fact that you've done it so old school. Like it's a tangible, here is something in my hand that I can use.
We were talking earlier and I told you that like I'm not great with through screen kind of things, like really bad at not reading like reading, but like like social cues and things like that and just stuff like that. So like if you noticed when we were texting, I use a lot of emojis.
Yes.
Reason for that is I'm never sure if anybody knows like the vibe I'm putting across when I text, because I never know. So like all of my friends, if they're texting me, they need to use emojis, or else I'm like, are you mad? You mad?
I'll keep that in mind. For any future conversations. I'll just throw extras in there for you.
It's all good. Like normally I'm like pretty good with, okay, they're not mad, but like sometimes, people are joking and I'm not sure when they're joking. Until I message them enough, or like there's like one or two misunderstandings, which I never hold against anyone. And then I'm like, okay, so they're joking when they say this. Got it. But it takes me a minute. So whenever I do anything, I have to have my tangible in my hand, something I can work off of. Like I have to be able to touch it and feel it and like, and this is going to sound weird, but smell it.
No, it doesn't sound weird.
Like the ink on a page, like a marker when I'm using it. Like it's the sensory things. Yeah. And that's probably because of my unchecked ADHD, needing something tangible to like latch my brain onto. But yeah, everything I have is old school. I only started Trello now. And the only reason I did Trello is because I downloaded the app on my phone. So now, instead of having to check my planner every 2 minutes, because I have the memory of a goldfish, and not a live one, I'm talking about like a goldfish snack cracker.
I actually know what that is now. I know what that is now. Australia doesn't have them. I learned about it in my interview with Hanny, which I don't know if it'll come out before or after this one, but I know what that is now. Oh my God.
The kid who stuck the goldfish up his nose. Yeah, I remember. Trust me, I hear this story. She sent that into servers and everybody was like, a live goldfish? She was like, no, a cracker. And we were like, oh.
Just for the record, this is probably going to come out before Hanny's, so everyone who wants to know about that, they can just wait until they hear the full story in the next.
Even the Americans were confused. We were like, "What?" Insane. It was the way she phrased it, and we were like,
I was like, but just to flip back a story, because we're going to end up somewhere completely different in a minute.
Of course we are.
So what that first bang that you volunteered to mod in. So you've got 2 chapters of a story up, and that's your entire foray into Stucky fan fiction at this point. You're running scared from the servers and stuff because of that. What was the theme of that bang? Like I get that it was more the moderating side that probably dragged you in than the actual content of it, but what was the first one?
Shrunky Clunk's Bang, the one that is currently going in its 2nd year right now. I am the social media mod for that currently. Last year I was only a writer mod, so I was only helping with check-ins. I'm doing something more this time.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yes, Night Watch, which is only her bang modding name, so you guys can't find her anywhere else, and I can't tell you the real stuff because I'm sworn to secrecy. But Night Watch, she started the Shrunky Clunk's Bang. She came from the Star Trek fandom. And she was like, I'm gonna start this one. And we were like, okay. And she got a lot of her materials from the Thalia Bang, which is the Star Trek. I don't know the ship because I don't watch Star Trek, but she got a lot of her ideas from that, which is why if you see in the bottom of the Shrunky Clunks thing, it's like credited to them because that's where she got her process from. And then I just credit all my stuff to Night Watch, and then she credits to Thalia Bang. So it's like a thing. Night Watch taught me how to set up bangs. She taught me everything. She sent me all of her materials and everything. She is my mentor, and I am her apprentice. We talk daily. But she sent me all of her stuff, and she was like, here, in case you ever want to do one of your own. But I'd never done anything before, like never. And she was using a new username that has nothing attached to it. So she was like an unknown in fandom too. And we were both like, we're going to do this. And,
we had... actually happened, the fact that you've made it happen with essentially two users who have nothing attached to their name made this happen. And I'm so impressed.
And I wrote a fic for that bang. Tattooed Heart came out of Shrunky Clunk's Bang. My 75k fic came out of that bang.
I'm reasonably sure that was the one that that currently is in the active FSBC library, under the tattoo category.
Yes.
And I think, was that the one that we actually had as a book club read, or was that?
I believe so. There was a comment on the bottom, which is actually how I found out about FSBC. This is the one I was telling you about when we first got on the call.
Yeah.
I saw a comment saying this was an FSBC read. I was like, what the hell is that? And so I hopped into the small private server that I'm in with Oh I Swear and Hanny Trash, and I was like, and a bunch of other people, and I was like, what is this?
Do you know about it? Like, who are these weirdos who are creeping on my face?
And then Hanny went, oh my God. And her and she just started saying all this lovely stuff about you guys. And she like, they're so sweet. They're so amazing. They just rave about, oh my gosh, they're all starstruck when they talk to us, but also like, we're hella starstruck because somebody actually likes our things. Like somebody actually reads our stuff and actually likes it.
We don't like your stuff. We love your stuff. There is a big difference. We don't like it. We love it.
And by the end of them talking, I was like, me? They picked me? And I was like in shock because I was like, all these people like me? and I was like, oh my gosh. And I wasn't very confident about Tattoo Tart. When I was posting it, I was like, I'm not very confident about this. I had it beta read like 4 times, 4 different betas. And I had my artist beta read it, and even my artist was obsessed with it. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I love it, but also like, like, you know, like I don't know why, but like I'm not as confident about this. And then I posted it. And I was still kind of like, you know, it wasn't getting a lot of attention, but of course that's because I was a fandom unknown, you know?
Yeah.
And like, of course, when I first posted, I was comparing myself to like the hits that Handy Trash got and like, Oh, I Swear got. And these are Handy Trash, no, I swear. Like, yeah. Of course, I'm not going to get the same amount of hits and comments as them. Why am I even comparing myself at this point? But when I posted it, I was like, oh, I'm not getting as much as everyone else. And I was the beta reader. No, I was the artist. So I didn't just write a fic for the Shrunky Clunk Bang last year. I also was an artist for 3 different authors. And I did 3 works of art for each author. So I was also a mod.
You moderated the bang. You wrote in the bang. You
75K
did
fic, yeah.
3 artists, 3 authors. Yeah. 3 lots of art for each author.
Yeah.
Did you sleep at all?
No. No, I have really bad insomnia.
I've had problems with insomnia in the past, right? And once you get to a certain point, you can't function anymore. So it doesn't matter whether you're asleep or awake or whatever. How?
So, like recently, I rely on tea, Becazine, and Cochrea. And even then, Cochrea is not reliable. Like when it comes to telling you to go to sleep, not reliable. We have to scream. I scream at her. So it's like I pretty much just rely on Oh, I Swear and Becazine to be like, Mia, go to bed. It's basically if T is going to bed, I should be headed to bed at some point. And if I'm still awake when they wake up,
time zone to you, that's probably a good idea.
She's a couple hours ahead. Yeah, she's a couple hours ahead. She was going to bed when we started this chat. So like she had just headed to bed when you were like, hey, I'm gonna call you. And I was like, okay. But if they wake up and I am still on, they know I didn't sleep. And then I get bombarded with gifts. Like just last night, I was talking to T because we're doing a collab here soon. And
I am excited about any news of upcoming work. I am excited about.
I haven't even told you what it's about yet.
I don't care. I'm excited.
But so we were talking about a collab and I was like, oh, I'm going to bed. We'll talk about this when I wake up. And she's like, okay, we'll talk about this when I wake up, right? An hour later, I sent a message into the Shrunky Clunks Bang server and she was like, Mia, you said you were going to sleep. And I was like, yeah.
Hold out.
Go to sleep. There's a GIF that like Bex, Bcassine, and Oh, I Swear have GIFs for each of their friends, a specific GIF that they use to tell us to go to sleep. Like they have assigned go to sleep GIFs to each of us.
Oh, that's
those of us who don't sleep. And we have a thing called Bermuda time, which is those of us who don't sleep, we live in Bermuda or like the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't sleep. My husband says that my sleeping schedule is very unhealthy, and he's right.
So,
but you know what? It's life.
Okay, so it seems a very broad spectrum sort of theme, prompt, whatever. So with your bangs and stuff like that, do you keep it broad spectrum? You go, okay, this is Shrunky Clunks. I don't care what it entails. It just has to be Chunky Clunks. Or is it more, it's Shrunky Clunks, but we specifically need something about a tattoo? Or is it...
No.
How do you come up with those themes, or how do you enforce those themes?
So for the Shrunky Clunks bang, all it has to be is Shrunky Clunks. The only rule is that it has to be Cap Steve and Modern Bucky. You can do anything else you want with it, but it has to be Cap Steve, Modern Bucky. And of course, like some of the fics aren't our thing. You know, like I've read maybe 75% of the fics that came out of last year. And it's because, you know, some of them are just not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't stop people from writing things that aren't our thing. Like, we don't. We make sure that it's baited, and we make sure that the artist likes it and that the author's having fun. And we pretty much just, as long as it meets the criteria of Shrunky Clunks, you're good. Like, that's it. And of course, like, you have to give us proper tags for the slides for artist claims, and you have to, like, if there's going to be a death, you have to put it in the slide and spoil that for the artist because it's a trigger warning. And it's like if there's like something that happens in the very last chapter, like something super triggery, you have to put it, because, or if it ends unhappy, you have to put it, because we don't want an artist to claim something that's just not like, well,
that's going to
something they can do.
Something that
Exactly. And we did have an issue with that at one point, is we had a person who didn't put all of their tags in their slide, and it was a whole thing, which I'm not going to go into. But we did have that, and we were like, and of course last year there were a lot of kinks that we were working through. We were Nightwatch was trying to figure out like just how strict she needed to be to get people to do things. And her bang process and my bang process, since she's the one who taught me, is different from a lot of the other bangs. A lot of bangs run year long.
Yeah.
A lot of bangs expect you to be 100% done before you give it to the artist. A lot of bangs do first come, first serve. We don't do that. And our reason for first come, first serve is for people like you who live in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Because say it's first come, first serve, right? And we drop it at noon our time. You're asleep.
Yeah.
So
most
if it's first come, yeah, most of you are. But like if we drop it at noon, like if I drop it noon EST, people in Australia or Japan or like those areas, right? They're most likely not awake. And if they are awake, it's because they're waiting for it to drop so that way they can be the first in the door and get the fic they want, right? We find that unfair because it's like, we don't want somebody, yes, our sleep schedules suck. We don't want somebody who might have a good sleep schedule to have to fuck up their schedule in order to get in the door and get a fic that they want. So this is actually really unpopular for some people. Actually, a lot of people don't like the fact that we do this. Which those people don't join our bang, which is fine. But like, we don't do first come, first serve.
Yeah.
We open up claims. We ask you to give us a list of 10 fics that you want to claim. And then we close claims and we shuffle the names of all the artists. We just shuffle them from not like first checking or anything. We just shuffled the names. And then we pull in the shuffled order. We go through each of their lists in the shuffled order. And so the first name on the list, of course, gets their first pick.
Yeah.
And as we go down, whoever gets their first pick, but if we come to that fic that's already been claimed, we move to the second pick, you know, and we move down the line. So that way, and it has to be, you have to give us a list of 10 fics that you do want to work with.
Yeah.
So it's always something that you will want to work off of. But we go down the list because the way we see it, it's first claim, first serve, you know, if say somebody's in straight through the door, grabs a fic, right? Say we drop it at noon and then the people in Australia wake up, all the fics are gone.
Yeah.
or the only fic left is something that has a trigger warning that they just cannot touch, then that artist is like, I can't do this. You know,
I can't do this, which is then leads to them, I would assume, either pulling out and then leaving an author without an artist.
an author without an artist, then we got to find a pitch hitter, and then sometimes the pitch hitters are like, we can't do this because there's only so many pitch hitters.
Yeah.
And then, or they're like, oh, I've got too much on my plate, I can't do more than one fic. And then at that point it's like, oh my gosh.
So
we're struggling.
So what's your response level like? As in, how many authors do you normally get sign up for these? Or like, I mean,
so
10 fics to me sounds like a lot. Like, you know, if you're an artist and you have to list 10 fics that you want to work with, like that to me sounds like a lot. But
since I'm not giving any names out for this, I can give you just, I'm not gonna say anything like any names or anything, but I do have 28 authors currently signed up for the Silver Fox Steve Bang.
Oh my god, wow.
So there are currently 28 fics coming out of that bang. And I have 26 artists. So I will probably have to have some artists double up, which most artists are fine with. And we always check before we make people double up, because we're like, hey, we're going to make sure that this works for you. We send out a survey like, hey, are you willing to claim 2? And if they're willing to claim 2, it's like, awesome. And there's some artists, Kokuria, who's like, yes, who's like, yes, pair me up with as many people as possible. And it's like, dude, you need sleep. And she's like, it's fine. Of course, we check with her first.
Ko is amazing. Ko's done some work for us at FSBC. We do like a birthday present sort of thing for each of the members. When it's their birthday, they get something. So for me last year, and I don't know how they did this without me noticing, the other members basically went to AO3 and started commenting on all these fics of that they knew I liked, that they knew I really liked, to get the authors to write me a happy birthday note. And they compiled them all into a video. I cried. Okay, I was crying. And because I got the video at work on my birthday, I'm sitting at my desk like crying because of this how sweet it was. And so for the next birthday, we tried to one up it a little bit, and we realized we'd left ourselves like no time to do it. And we contacted Ko, and she made us, now I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's the hockey nomad Steve.
I was a member of her Patreon. So
that was the first one we had commissioned for a group member. And
it started making me go to hockey games. I have a jersey now.
Like it was her whole process was like, oh, how about we do this? Or what about this? Or what about this one? It was insane. And we're going, she pulled it together for us in like, I think it was like 3 or 4 days. She pulled that together from woe to go. It was absolutely incredible. And then the second one we had done was the Lumberjack Bucky, Canadian Lumberjack Bucky, which was the one that got stolen and used on Twitter and other places.
Call Me Kay did that one, didn't she? Or no, was that Kokuria who made it?
Yeah, no, Ko made that one as well. That was the one that got used elsewhere. But that wasn't for a fic. That was for us. That was a member, FSBC member's birthday present. And even with that was like the only sort of real elements we went into that with was it's Lumberjack Bucky. We got to make him Canadian somehow. Instead of a metal arm, can we give him a sleeve tattoo? And it was insane. Like she just bounced so much stuff.
Just
Kokuria
magic.
We did give her a lot more notice for that one, I will admit. It wasn't a 3-day turnaround. But
of course.
But in the meantime, amongst these two that we've gotten made, there's all these fics coming out, and it's art by Ko, art by Ko, art by Ko, and we're all going,
Ko. How is she doing this? She doesn't sleep. You think that I don't sleep? You think that I don't sleep?
Oh, it's amazing, but that's the whole thing as well. I guess do you normally get an equal number of artists to authors? Do you have a cutoff?
Never. Never. Actually, we normally get less artists than authors. I even had that issue with the reverse bang. I had more authors sign up than people producing art, which is why Brooklyn Bakes and Handy Trash's fic, which I am getting to. I have Brooklyn Bakes memorized because it's in my comfort reads. But that one was a shared artist, CM Leo. I had to contact CM Leo and be like, hey, can I assign 2 people to you? And then I contacted T and Hanny, of course. I was like, hey, do you guys mind, being assigned to the art? I told them, you don't have to work together if you don't want to. You don't have to co-author a fic. I just need you guys to both work off the same piece of art. And they were like, oh yeah, totally. And as you saw, they are so drastically different. They are so drastically different. Because that's the thing, is like every author has a different process, and everybody's going to look at a piece of art and have a different thought process and a different idea to come out of it. And of course, T, who writes her fluffy kid fic, a little bit of angst here and there, but it's always going to end in a happy ending, unless the unhappy ending is warranted, like her one fic. But everything always ends happy normally and fluffy and things. Brooklyn Bakes. Well,
even that Peaches fic, the one that didn't end happy. It's still, that was the most realistic outcome it could have been. So it wasn't like a hit you around the head with a cricket bat, sort of ending just because it could be. But
of course not.
But
yeah, and then you have Handy Trash, who wrote like angsty, which is why I haven't gotten it to yet, because I have to be in a good mood to read sad things. If I read sad things when I'm not in a good mood, I don't get out of bed for 3 days. So like Handy Trash wrote this super angsty fic, and then you have Tease, which is, super like, there's some angst, but it's mostly fluffy. You've got these 2 drastically different things, but my thing was I was panicking because I was like, oh my God, I have too many authors. I don't have enough art for them to work from. What am I going to do? And then I saw CM Leo, who actually got me into embroidery. I have a bunch of embroidery actually, she has my address and sends me the templates that she can't work with or that she doesn't have time for. She just mails them to me. So I have a floss collection and everything thanks to her. But so I saw her and I was like, she's on both of their lists. Oh my God. So I jumped in and I was like, Sam Leo, please. And she was like, why are you begging? More fic. And I was like, okay. And then I went to Hattie and I went to T and I was like, you guys don't have to write together. And they were like, why are you begging? More fic.
The answer should be obvious.
It was solved like that quick. But there are some instances where like there was one piece of art that we weren't able to use in the Shrinky Clinks reverse bang. And the reason for that is because the author dropped on their posting day. And so and 7K was the minimum. So I messaged the artist and I was like, hey, I can write 7K for you right now if you need me to. Like, we can still get your art out there. And because I can write 7K in like 3 hours. I wrote 4K today just before this, actually. And I woke up at 2 p.m. So in 3 hours, I wrote 4K. That was with distractions. But anywho, and I'm not trying to brag. But anywho, I was like, I can write 7K for you and get it posted by the end of tonight. And the artist actually said, don't do it. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't want you to have to rush. It's fine. And she told me, like, I am used to my art not being used. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, 75% of the authors that I get paired with end up dropping before I even finish it. And I was like, what? And it turns out that's a common thing in bangs. People drop left and right. And I can understand the need to drop. I actually joined three bangs this year and then ended up having to drop out of some of them. One of them was because, like, just the way it was set up. At first I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. And then I realized, like, no, I can't. But, that's not the mod's fault. That's my fault for not properly gauging. And then the other one was just like, I lost the motivation for the story idea I had. So I was like, hey, I gotta dip. But the thing is, like, the one thing that I press as a mod is if you're going to sign up, and I know that when you first sign up, it's like, yeah, I've got the ability. But after claims, I understand if you need to drop, if there's like a family issue or a health issue or something like that, or like the motivation is lacking a little bit. But then again, like, you know, cheerleaders can help with that. You can find someone who's willing to push you through it. It's the people who just drop because they just drop, you know, so, like they don't give us any reasoning.
So do you bring in like a 1-2 strike thing? Like if someone drops at last minute without a good reason, you don't let them back in again? Or?
I didn't have that last year for Shrinking Flinks Reverse. I am doing that this year. So currently we have if you drop after claims, it's a 1-year ban, meaning you don't get to come back next year. We have kind of tweaked that a bit, and now it's if you drop 2 weeks before posting, within 2 weeks before posting, you're banned for 2 years. And the reason for that is because of these people who drop very last minute. We don't have time to get a pitch hitter if it's a week before your posting day, the day of your posting day. And the person who dropped the day of their posting day, I'm not throwing shade at them. I love them personally. Like, they're a great person and they had their reasoning, but I did panic because I was like, I promised this artist that they were going to get thick for their art. Now they don't get thick for their art. And, you know, I was freaking out. And some people, they just drop without notice. Like, they drop, but they don't like give us a reason. They're just like, hey, I'm dropping. And it's like, but why? Because like, especially those people who,
you can understand it, you know, if they give you a reason, and it doesn't have to go into detail, but it's, hey, look, I've got a lot of family stuff going on right now, and whatever, or hey, look, I've had to move house, and I don't have the
I completely understand, because when I was running Shrinking Flinks Reverse Bang, which this is probably why it was added stress for me, but when I was running Shrinking Flinks Reverse Bang, I was driving across the country. My husband and I, when we moved from Alaska to North Carolina, we drove through Canada and down through the United States to North Carolina during claims week of Shrinking Flinks Reverse Bang. And the reason, and that wasn't poor planning on my part or anything, that was a completely like a military thing. They literally gave us a month's notice before they told us that we had to move. And we were like, what? And I had already had the schedule set up, so I couldn't change it, you know, because everybody else had set their schedules up along the schedule that I had set up. So I couldn't change my schedule. So my mods did most of my claim stuff. And what I did do for claims, I had to rely on really crappy hotel Wi-Fi because my phone did not work in Canada. I couldn't get a single thing. And I'm driving through the freaking mountains, which, by the way, Canada looks a lot like Alaska, just saying. If there's anybody who lives in Canada, like a lot like Alaska, except y'all are a lot more tolerant.
Like, one of our at least the FSBC members is Canadian, so yes.
Okay, well, yeah. See, the thing about Alaska is I call it the south of the north, which sounds really weird, but it's because almost everybody who lives in Alaska are retired Texans. Which is not bad. I'm not saying that Texans are bad. Texans are not bad. There are some really great Texans out there. I've got a lot of friends who are from Texas who moved to Alaska because their parents moved there and retired there, you know. Got a lot of friends from Texas. But hi. And I should say, like, conservative Texans, not always the great ones. There's a lot of good ones, but not always the great ones. But like, when I was driving through Canada, I was like, this is like the beautiful scenery of Alaska without the guy without the bright red Trump 2020 hat. And it was actually pretty great. I really loved Canada. My husband, who is gung-ho America military guy. He actually loved Canada.
I haven't found anyone yet who doesn't love Canada or Canadians. So that's
actually, I think the thing that I loved most about Canada was that we were in the middle of nowhere, like in the woods in the Yukon Territory. We stopped at this gas station. It wasn't really a gas station, it was like a tank. But they had a bathroom, and on the door it said, "We don't care what your gender is, just go to the bathroom." Like, it was a sign. And I was shocked, because in Alaska, if you're in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the mountains, and you stop for the bathroom, you don't get that. you get the crazy guy with a shotgun next to you, like, you gonna go in there? That has a man on it. It's like, bro. Like, I don't care. I just have to go to the bathroom.
No, I have driven the width of Australia. I've driven from where I grew up in Queensland to Perth. So I actually lived in Perth for 8 years. Across the Nullarbor, so the middle of Australia, the bottom of the middle of Australia, is the longest straight road. It's the 90-mile straight. It is 90 miles of dead straight. You can see the curvature of the earth, as you're driving it. And just before you get to that, there is a place called the Nullarbor truck stop. And you go in there and you have to walk past dingoes in the car park. And you ask for the bathroom and they give you a key. It's not a male or female bathroom, but you open the door. It's a key. You open the door and there's a toilet and there's a shower and there's a basin and it's a truck stop. Like, that's all it is. There's nothing on the door. It just says toilet. So that's probably the closest you can come to saying.
I appreciate that.
Although I think a couple of years ago they actually did it up a little bit. So now there's 2 of those.
Yeah. I mean, I can say that the least conservative thing about Alaska is legal weed, which was something that I miss. I miss it so much. I live in North Carolina now. I'm on the East Coast. The only state on the entire East Coast that has legal weed is New Jersey. And they just made it legal, so it costs like $200 for a bag of edibles. So I'm like, I'm not doing this. Sorry, I'm not sure what your policy on weed is here, but yeah.
It is insane how one country can differ so greatly between states.
It's so divided on everything, but like, I don't want to say that's the beauty of America, because sometimes the division is not beautiful. But like the fact that everything is so, like one area could be completely different from another area. Like even though I call like Alaska the South of the North, right? It's still drastically different from actually living in the South.
Yeah.
like I leave outside of the area where my house is. I'm not going to say where I live, but I leave outside the area where my house is, and there's a mega church. That's not like, there's a lot of Mormons in Alaska, but there's no mega church. But like, you go right there and there's a giant mega church, and on Sundays you can't even leave the area where I live because there's just cars parked on the road just all the way down to the freaking highway. And I'm like, my husband, when we first got here, he goes, "They do a Spanish service." And I was like, if you go to a mega church, I'm divorcing you. Because I was like,
so do you pull from any of that to put it back into your own work? Like, or do you prefer to keep your work as separate to your life as you can? Like, I get there is a certain amount of write what you know, but at the same time, that's not always what you want to read.
I tend to write different from what I know. I think that the most of like myself that I put into my fics is when I write ABO.
Yep.
Because of the gender exploration that ABO allows, like men who can have babies and have a period per se, depending on the ABO writer, and women who can get people pregnant, things like that. Like the gender exploration of it is why I love ABO so much. And that is the most I put in there because I myself am non-binary. So like, that's my moment where like, I get to live in a world where like, I'm the norm, which is not to say like, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, It's like the whole world is like this, which is that sense of solidarity, because we talked about this earlier. Like, I'm not very big on like labeling myself. I don't do pronouns or any of that. Like, I don't care whether I'm she, they, he, whatever you perceive, go ahead and say it. I don't care. Like, I'm kind of just here. Perceive me how you like. But like, that's the most, actually, I think the most I have put into a fic is a fic that I haven't put out yet. I was going to write it for the Silver Fox Steve Bang, so I wasn't going to talk about it, but I actually changed my idea, which, by the way, is something that I allow in my bangs. You can change your idea at last second, as long as it meets the requirement that is just before claims. Yep. So if you, but after your claims, you can't change your idea. So you can change your idea up to claims. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm changing my idea. I have to write 50% of my fic by May 17th. May 17th is like my date, but claims is, I think claims is May 17th. I would have to look at my Trello at this point, because I stopped writing things in my planner 3 days ago. So, but I have to write 50%, and knowing me, that means that I'm probably going to have to write 10 to 20,000 words by May 17th. Not hard for me, but it is a lot, right? Yeah. But I am changing it up. And one of the things that I am, my original fic was actually, and the reason why I'm changing it is because the fic is kind of heavy. And so, and you know, like I said, I got to be in a headspace to write heavy, and I just haven't been in that headspace recently. So there's a song called Must Have Been the Wind. I think it's by Anson. I would have to look it up on Spotify. Hold on, it'll take me literally 2 seconds. I have it saved. Must Have Been the Wind, but no, it's by Alec Benjamin. Yeah. Must Have Been the Wind, and it's about and trigger warning here to like spousal abuse, but it's about a guy who lives in an apartment below a girl who is being abused by her significant other. And I was writing Silver Fox Steve fic that was ABO, that was about Steve moving into an apartment below Bucky, who is living upstairs and, you know, being abused. Yeah. And it was really heavy. And the reason why like I put the most in that is because, you know, I told you a little bit about my sister. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was writing it because I was like, there's so many misconceptions out there, but I was like, this is really heavy, and because of how short my bang time frame is, at first I was like, this is great because I had most of it written, but then some stuff happened recently, and I was just like, oh, maybe I need more time on this because I know that I'm not going to finish. And it's sad. And so I'm like, oh, I'm changing it up a bit, but like that is the one fic that I'm actually putting like some of my own experience with, and it's not Bucky who's my experience, but it's Steve. Yeah, because it's experiencing seeing somebody in that situation and not being able to say anything, not being able to do anything about it, because of course you can't save a person who doesn't want to be saved, you know. So it's like they have to want to leave that situation before you can do anything about it. Yeah, all you can do is like stand there and say, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. But that's the only fic that really has something in it, because, you know, I have to like sit here and be like, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. Yeah. But I can't do anything.
You can open the door, but you can't make somebody walk through it.
Yeah. You can open the door, but you can stand on one side of the door and be like, hey, I'm on this side of the door if you ever need me. But you can't lead a horse to water is a common saying. Yeah. You can't make them cross that threshold. Yeah. And so like that was like the idea that I was going with, because that song makes me cry every time.
There's a couple of songs like that do it for me as well.
My husband and I, when we first started dating, we had common song tastes, because I was in college and we both liked screamo. My husband's favorite band is Amity Affliction, which is a screamo band. He actually just went to a concert of theirs for the first time last month, and he talked about it nonstop leading up. Every single day, like every other hour, he'd go, hey babe, I'm going to an Amity Affliction concert. And I was like, I know. You said that.
If I didn't know already, I'm pretty sure I've got the message now.
Yeah. And then afterwards, non-stop talking about it. To this day, he goes, "Hey, babe, I went to an Amity Affliction concert." I was like, I know. I was there when you got home. Like, I remember. I saw the videos. But like, we used to have the same music taste. Now my husband says, "Babe, your music taste has gotten sad." This is coming from a guy who like listens to a band whose covers are like Slipknots and things. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, my songs are indie sad. His songs are like screamo sad, so they sound more angry than they sound sad. But me, I'm over here with my Must Have Been the Wind and Battlefield and all these like slow sad songs. And I do tend to name my picks after song titles. Tattooed Heart is after Ariana Grande's Tattooed Heart. Take Me to Your Heaven is based off of a song. It's one of the lyrics to a song. I can't remember the title right now because it's been a while since I've listened to it. And like, I tend to do that because it's the easiest way to title something. Actually, the first time I actually had to come up with something off the top of the hat was when T was writing lullabies. T was like, "Hey, what do I name this?" And I was like, "There's a baby in it. I'm just going to start saying lullaby things." And I was like, "I don't know, like Lullaby to Future's Lost." And she was like, "Mia." and so she named it Lullabies to Future's Lost. And I was like, I titled something without finding a song first. Oh my God.
I am so hooked on that fic. Like, I am seriously.
I haven't read it yet.
There's one scene in the first chapter, which art has been done for. And
the picture. I haven't read it yet. I've seen the art. She brags about the art.
that picture, that scene is, it just it grabbed me and did not let go.
No.
So my first comment was like, "No, you can't post this like week by week. I need all of this now. Like, you can't do this to me."
Hence why I make it a point to only ever read completed fics, which is why I haven't read it yet. I am waiting till she posts the final chapter, and then I'm going to binge it all in one day.
See, when I'm looking for fics for the library, I've made it a bit of a rule that I won't put unfinished work in the library. And that's also it's not trying to be like, I don't think you're going to finish it. It's more along the lines of, you don't go into a regular library or a bookstore and pull a book off the shelf that hasn't been finished. So there are two exceptions to that rule. One of them is After Hours by Oh Captain, My Captain. And even though it's not finished, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's an abandoned
fic. It's a good fic. That's a good fic.
It is an amazingly well-written fic, and it still has an ending of sorts. It's not a neat in a bow, wrapped up with a bow.
It's not like all of my plot holes have been figured out. No,
but it is.
Then again, what fic has every plot hole figured out? Like, none of them.
I mean,
and if you do, you are amazing.
Even in that final chapter that is posted, it does actually say, well, the next chapter will have this and whatever. And it is a little bit of a heart squeeze to read that, and it's like, I know it's not going to happen, but it still finishes to a point. It wraps everything up to a point that it's not left on a cliffhanger. It's not left,
exactly
open-ended to the point where it annoys you. There is another one that is, I believe it has now been finished. And it's an endgame fix-it fic. I actually posted it on the Facebook page because it just sucked me in. And with how often the updates were happening, I just went, no, this needs.
I don't. So my reasoning for not reading incomplete works, and it's also not because I don't think people will finish it. It's just that I've been burned too many times. I have gotten so obsessed with a fic, sat there, been like, oh my God. And then the person has orphaned their account. Or the freaking people have gone after them on like Twitter saying that their stuff is bad, and then they leave their account. And like, actually, there was it was actually part of what happened this week. I actually knew some people who were about to delete their accounts over trolls, who not only went after them, but me. I had trolls come after me. I had somebody write a 4-paragraph essay on why Tattooed Heart was absolutely awful and post it online for people to read.
I don't understand people who do that. If you dislike something so much that you take the time to write that.
Yeah. They tied my name to it and everything. So it was posted on Goodreads, which I'm just gonna put a disclaimer here. If you guys ever read any of my stuff or anything and you do want to write a review, please do it in the comments and don't post it on Goodreads. I'm actually dealing with the Goodreads community heads right now, trying to get it taken down, because they didn't just put my name on there. They took the artist's art and created a title page and deleted the artist's signature. So they stole the art without the artist's permission and created a profile for me using that art and the synopsis of my fic, and then proceeded to trash it. Which, one of the things that, honestly, like, I'm only pissed about it. I'm not, like, it's not making me want to delete my account or anything. But I'm pissed about it because of, like, just how ignorant they were. Like, so one of their complaints about Tattooed Heart was they said that I had obviously never had or seen a tattoo done before, because it was just not accurate. So I have 5 tattoos, all of which I had done in the span of the same month. This one says "Don't panic." This one's a group tattoo. It's a serotonin molecule that all of my friends have, because we thought if we can't produce it yourself, might as well get it tattooed on your body.
Yep.
This one is for my 2 friends who used to go watch airplanes and study with me. This is 2 hands rolling the universe into a joint. I tell people that it's folding origami for work people. And then this is the first ever tattoo I got, which is a tribute to my mother, who passed away when I was 9. And she had a butterfly tattoo that had my name on it. So there's a butterfly inside the O.
Oh, that's
and my friend Zalia drew this for me. The day of, I was sitting in the waiting room and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to get for my mom. And she sat there and on the back of their business card drew this. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I got it done. And she's one of the ones who I share the serotonin tattoo with. So
insane. But I mean, I guess to a certain point, I mean, I understand that it's never nice to get something that talks bad.
Yeah, no,
whatever.
It's awful.
But I kind of have to look at that a little bit, though, is that I'd almost find it slightly flattering that this person has gone to so much effort.
So much lengths.
I mean,
much effort.
They've put so much effort into this. I mean,
yeah,
it's
insane. Like,
I mean, the content is upsetting, but the effort that's been put into it would have to be flattering.
That's what made me laugh so much, was that and I found them on AO3. I'm not going to call them out because that's just rude, but I found them on AO3. They have no works, no bookmarks, no collections, no gifts, no nothing. Like, literally all that exists is their username. There's not even a bio. I'm pretty sure they just have the accounts, that way they can steal people's work. And yet they're writing a 4-page essay on my fic, and the first paragraph is all about what they could have done better. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, use my idea and write that fic. Like, if you want to change things about my fic, okay, use the idea, say inspired by, and write your own fic.
Well, there's that option on AO3.
Obviously you have the ability, because you wrote a 4-page essay. You have the ability to string sentences together in a coherent
and AO3
thing.
has that option on there where that I've seen it on so many fics at the end. Inspired by this. And off you go. You can link it back.
It is possible, but like, obviously you have the ability. You wrote a 4-page essay. You have the ability to string sentences together in a coherent thing. Most of it was utter bullshit, but you have the ability, so why don't you use it? And the other thing is, another complaint that they had was me calling the women in the office girls for most of the fic in Tattooed Heart.
Right.
They said that I was being misogynistic by doing that. I will tell you now, everybody but Lady, all of the side characters but Lady, are based off of my own friends.
Yes.
Falsworth's girlfriend Zalia
Mm-hmm.
is my best friend Zalia, who I share a tattoo with.
Mm-hmm.
Lily, the slightly grumpy lesbian partner of Bucky's, that's my best friend, who I have been best friends with for 9 years. Cameron, the slightly shy, she is the person who I did that collab with, the first person who ever introduced me to any kind of fandom. So like, I know these people personally, and I'm not sure about people in other countries, but here it's most women, unless they're like super feminist, are not offended by being called a girl.
No.
because
it's a colloquialism. Like, I mean, it's the same as I go, oh, there's a group of guys over there. It's not. Yeah, it's right? Not. There's a group of men. There's a group of gentlemen. There's a group of whatever. There's a group of guys, and it's the same thing. When we enter
a room, we go, "Hey guys."
Yeah,
that's pretty much calling everybody in the room guys. But
yeah,
if there's women in the room, why is that not offensive? I actually had a teacher. Freaking love this man, and I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to say his name because I wasn't even allowed to know his first name until the last day of senior year. He would not tell me. Actually, we didn't know his birthday, his first name, where he grew up, anything. All we knew was that he was an alumni of our school, and he graduated from a university in Hawaii. He wouldn't tell us anything else. Nothing. We only knew his last name. And he actually entered class one day and he went, "Hello, girls." And only the girls replied. And for the rest of class, he referred to everyone in the room as girls. And at the end of class, the guys are like, "Well, so what are we supposed to do?" And he was like, "Oh no, I was talking to you too." And the guys were like, "We're not girls," and he was like, "So what would be the difference if I had just said guys throughout all of class?" They're like, "Well, that refers to everyone." It's like, technically a guy is a man though. Yeah. And he had this whole thing. And then our assignment for that day was, when we walked down the hall, he wanted the girls to just keep walking. If we see a man in our path or anyone in our path, we just keep walking. We don't move. And the guys were told to move. By the end of the day, I had been ran into by 7 different boys at my high school because they had expected me to move out of the way. Yeah. My straight white heterosexual, at least this is what I'm assuming from the little conversation that I had with this teacher, because we didn't know much, but this man walked into class and he taught us about this, like, that kind of stuff. Just walking into the class. His final for that year was actually, we had to sit through an entire documentary called Earthlings. Yep. Which is about what we were doing to our planet. Yeah. And you had to sit through the whole thing and you weren't allowed to leave the room, except for you were allowed 1 pass for allowing to leave the room. Yeah. I used mine on the food portion because, it had to do with animals. I wish I had used it on the leather portion. But you had to do that in order to pass this class, because he said the one thing that he wanted from us before we left his class was to make sure we weren't ignorant. Yeah. So, like, we learned about police brutality in his class. We learned about sexism and the wage gap. We learned about the way we treat animals within society. We learned about child slavery. We learned about all sorts of stuff before leaving his class. And that wasn't even part of his curriculum. That's the
sort of teacher that the world needs. That everybody needs a teacher like that in their life.
And my senior year was actually his last year at that school. He had only been there for 2 years. And his reason for that was because the school didn't care enough about the students. So he went to a different school that did. He was like, "I quit. I'm going to a different school." And he's been school hopping until he can find out what school cares more about its students. Yeah, exactly. He's an amazing teacher. And I got a hug from him on the last day. I freaking love that man. But like, it's So like I was like, what do you mean, girls? Because when you like leave work, right? Say all the women in the office are going out to drink for a drink after work, right? It's like, oh, the girls are going out, or it's a girls' night,
Yeah.
And then she called me homophobic for referring to Bucky making a big thing about them taking his favorite mug a bitch fit, which is a slang term. And
Yeah.
I have thrown bitch fits at work for people taking my favorite mug. Because I brought the mug. If you use my mug, you could break it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you owe me a mug. And I would rather not have to have that argument of you having to pay me back for a mug. And I'm also like very mug gay. So I have 50 different mugs and all of them have little words on them. This one says starter fluid for the morning impaired.
I need that. I so need that.
But my husband is annoyed because we have 2 whole cupboards full of mugs, and he's like, you don't even use all of them, and I'm like, yes I do.
I have 2 mugs that I switch backwards and forwards between. One's for tea, one's for coffee. My tea mug has on the side of it says warning, I make stuff up, and it's actually left over from when I was writing.
So I have my best friend on my 18th birthday. It was the first mug in my collection. It says, we the people are fucked. And the we the people part is in the print that it is on the Constitution.
Oh, that's
and
brilliant.
Then the are fucked is in just big block letters.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
And that one started it. And then Hanny Trash sent me a link to another one, and it's Disco Zemo. It's a Saturday night Zemo, and it has.
Well, here you go. Here's something, and
Saturday
this is completely shameless self-promotion. On Redbubble, I actually have a print available on mugs. On mugs, it says fanfiction authors are real authors. So
thank you. And I also have something
like I said, it is also very much shameless self-promotion because the FSBC library logo is on there and the AO3 logo is on there as well. So like I said, it's very much shameless self-promotion here. But
I love it. This is my only work that I have on Redbubble. And it was created as a joke for my husband's work, because he is a CBRN, so he does chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear testing in the military. Whenever there's like a new nerve agent or something fun that they release, they send his division in, and they're the guys who make first contact and decide what it is. So they said that they were looking for a new slogan, and he said chemical happiness. So
that's brilliant.
Chemical happiness.
That's brilliant.
But yeah, so if we're shamelessly promoting, check out my
nothing wrong with that.
It's not under Alaska.
So I'm going to swing back into your bang. So the Silver Fox bang is the next one, isn't it?
Yes, that one posts July. Yes, July.
So when you're coming up with, so when you're running the bang, when you're not just moderating whatever else, when you're running it, do you just what brings you to the theme or whatever it's going to be? Do you have this thing? It's like, I really want to read more about Silver Fox Steve, or I really want to read more about ABO or something. Like, do you go down that route, or do you just try and stick with what's already been?
No, I've had this answer prepared. So Silver Fox Steve, I can credit to Hanny Trash. The reason for this is her Shrunky Clunks fic from last year, where she wrote the Silver Fox Steve with 20-year-old Bucky. Yep. I adore that fic. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, Commander Steve Rogers, Silver Fox, holy shit, we love this, right? And everybody was like, oh, we wish there were more fics like this out there. And I was in the Marvel collab Cupid, and somebody said, oh, I wish there were more fics out like there. So of course I am currently a Shrunky Clunks bang mod at this point. So I'm just like, why don't you start a bang? Like I suggested it.
and then it grew legs.
No, and then Hanny and Kokoria were like, Mia, why don't you start a bang? And I was like, I'm not doing it. And they were like, start a bang. And I was like, I'm not doing it. And they were like, start a bang. And I was like, damn it. So I started a bang. And I already knew who was signing up from the very beginning because there was a bunch of people who were like, yes, do it, please. And then, we posted the interest survey and I got even more replies. And then I was like, you know what? Well, I'm not doing this alone. So I was like, Hannah, you have to help me. And she's like, no. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to pressure anyone to do bang modding, of course. So I was like, Kokuria. And she was like, no. And I was like, damn it, who's going to help me? And then I joined another server. And I'd become friends with, actually, I call her my fandom wife now because she keeps me on track. And I drag her down with me from now on. She is actually currently a mod for one of the mods for the Silver Fox Steve Bang, and she is Use One Love. Currently, she does mostly buddy work from 911, but she does Stucky work too. She's a notorious multi-shipper. And I was like, hey, you're not doing anything, right? And she's like, why? And I was like, I need a mod. And she was like, okay, I'll be a mod. And then Thick Bucky Barnes was like, I'll be a mod, which she's been helping out a lot. She had some stuff going on, so we, she comes in when she can. And then Sarah was like, okay, yeah, I'm in college right now. It's been about, but I'll be around if you need anyone. And I'm like, okay. So then we only actually recently brought in another mod. She's kind of behind the scenes. She's not really credited to anything yet because she's like, she just came in and, she didn't help set it up yet. She's like, we needed extra help. But girl back there, she's helping us with our social media right now for it. And we were like, okay, we have our mod team. Now we need to figure out a schedule. And we all talked about a schedule, figured out the schedule, and we were like, okay, cool. We're doing this. Open signups, everything, people signed up. And so far, so great. Actually, the hardest part for me, like being a mod, is having access to everyone's drafts and not reading them.
Oh, I never thought of that.
I have access to Hanny Trash's draft. I have access to Oh I Swear's draft. I have access to Beccazine's draft, and I can't touch any of them. And the reason they keep saying that I can, but the reason for this is I believe that it is unfair for me to read it when all of you have to wait. So I don't read anything, and I just scan, make sure their word counts are correct, call it good. I don't even read it. I just highlight what needs to be highlighted, check word counts, call it good. And then check it off, send them an email saying, hey, you're good.
Self-control than I do.
Oh my God, it's so hard.
Look, I'm just going to let you know now, if you ever put out a call for volunteers for any of this sort of stuff and you see my name in there anywhere, do not let me, because I will abuse my privileges. All right, I am being completely upfront about that right now. I will abuse my privileges.
I had trouble with it with Shrunky Close Bang. Actually, there was one that. So the reason why I ended up with 3 was I actually pitch hit for 2. We had artists drop, and we didn't have any pitch hitters who were able to do it. And so I was mod, and I was like, you know what? I do art too. So I was like, I'll do it. Sure. So I didn't even actually I went through the claims process for 1 fic, which was Bitter's fic. And then 2 fics, we had artists drop, and I was like, if none of the pitch hitters wanted, I'll take it. And that's why I ended up doing 3. But one of which, you know how Shrunky Clunk Bang posts plot bunny ideas during the lull?
I didn't
follow our
thank you. Yeah. Yep.
So if you follow our Tumblr, we follow multiple Tumblr prompt pages, and at the very beginning of the bang, we reblog a bunch of prompts that could possibly work for Shrunky Clunks.
Yeah.
But I had come up with this idea that like Bucky was a bug scientist, and the Avengers were doing like this thing in South America in the Amazon rainforest, and Steve gets his blood sucked by like some sort of bug. And Bucky discovers it, and of course it has super soldier blood in it. So now like Hydra wants the bug, and they're like fighting over this one bug.
Oh my god.
It was an idea I had. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna write this. It is currently in my WIPs, but I was like, I'm not gonna write this. So I sent it in as a possible plot bunny, because you can submit plot bunnies. If you guys have plot bunnies for Shrunky Clunks next year, send an ask typing out that plot bunny. If you're not going to write it yourself, we will post it to inspire authors if we need to.
That's giving the library way too much power.
We do that. If you send us your prompts during the time that we are doing plot bunnies, we aren't doing them anymore. The plot bunny stopped last week, but starting next year, when we start advertising that we're start sending
just as a side note,
any ideas you have.
Just as a side note, Sarah, I know you're listening to this, so no. Put a lid on it. Wait till next year. We'll talk about it then. Okay.
If you have ideas, send an ask. Say this is a prompt for Shrunky Clunks Bang, and just like submit your prompt, your idea, and we will submit it. We can't promise that any of the authors will pick it up, but you might get something a little bit like it, because an author might see it and be like, "Oh my god, now I want to sign up," because they're like, "I have an idea." So I submitted that, and somebody actually did kind of like did something similar, and I'm not going to credit their fic to my prompt, because you know they haven't explicitly said that they got inspired by it, so of course I'm not going to credit, but it was similar. And I ended up pitch hitting that one, and I didn't even know what it was until I started reading it, and I was like, Bucky's hiking in the woods, he likes birds, what? Like they meet in the woods. Like that but it was like, it was the beginning though. It was like how they met. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was just because it was similar. It had nothing, it was probably not based off my prompt at all, because there were a lot of things that were different, but it was the fact that they were similar.
The idea, you can put an idea out there, and 3 people will take that prompt and turn it into something so completely different. And the only thing that it will have, the only thing tying all 3 of those together is that initial prompt.
Yeah, like with Shrieky Clink's Reverse Bang and Handy Trashes and Oh I Swears, and the fact that they worked off CM Leo's art. They both got assigned the exact same art. And if you've read their fics,
I have read both of them.
Opposite.
A couple of times. I'm pretty sure both of those fics are in the bakery category on the library.
Okay.
They are amazing. They are so completely different, and yet the fact that they come back to those same images is amazing.
It is amazing.
So I have to ask. And no one likes answering this question. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
What is your favorite of your work? And I know it's like asking people to pick a favorite child, but if you had to, what would it be?
So, like I said, I went through these questions with a friend to make sure that I could come up with coherent answers, because I'm a babbler when I'm nervous. If you haven't noticed. And I went through these questions with a friend, and she was like, I got to that and I was like, dude, this is like Sophie's Choice. Why would you ask me this? So I'm telling you now, I'm just going to read you my list of comfort fics. It's not very long. I think there's only like 10, but I'm going to read you the comfort fics because I can't.
Hang on. So are we talking your favorite of your own work, or are we talking your favorite piece altogether?
No.
So you're not going to answer my question about your favorite.
Oh,
your favorite of your work.
Favorite.
Your favorite of your work. We can go back into your favorite of all.
No, I can answer it.
But your favorite of your own work. Do you have something?
I do, and I'm not sure if you guys have read it. So I am working on a series based off of Taylor Swift's Folklore and Evermore. Yes. And my favorite fic out of everything I've ever written is definitely a tie, but it's a tie between The One and Last Great American Dynasty.
You know what? That's the one that's open on my screen right now. So I haven't read it yet, but it's because I haven't read absolutely everything out there yet. I've read the other ones. I haven't read that one yet. Last Great American Dynasty.
It's
so that's going to be the one that I make a point of reading after this.
So this is why this is why I've started putting myself to a finish things before you post them rule. Because I posted the first chapter of that and then it sat there for 6 months. And I promised a happy ending. It sat there for 6 months and a not so happy ending. And so I was like, okay. And it took me 6 months to get the second part of that one out. And by the time I posted it, I was like, oh my God, this is my favorite thing I've ever written. And it's like kind of a fusion. There are a lot of things that are different, but it's a fusion between The Notebook, The Great Gatsby, and Dirty Dancing. So the beginning is a lot like the beginning is a lot like,
you're making it very hard to categorize it.
I'm sorry. The beginning is like summer romance. They meet at a golf club that Steve works at, and Bucky's parents are rich, and it's ABO. And Bucky's parents are rich, and he falls in love with the bartender who works at the golf club. And then it kind of moves into Great Gatsby, and like there's this guy who lives in that fancy house on the hill next door to Natasha and Clint that nobody's ever seen, but there's rumors that he killed his husband. And it all ties together. I promise. But like it's kind of a fusion of all three of those. And it's also like the story begins with Daisy Johnson. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I'm obsessed with, but Daisy Johnson, also known as Sky, she, or Quake, if you want to go by her superhero name. She's an Omega who's looking for a house, and she comes across a listing that was just posted on a bulletin board in a library. And it's this really nice salt box house by the sea, like Last Great American Dynasty in the song, Taylor Swift. And she's like, what is this doing here? So of course she has to go and like ask. But the story begins with her knocking on the door. And it's answered by a tiny little old lady who introduces herself as Sarah Rogers. She is Bucky and Steve's daughter.
Aww.
And she's like, why is this posted on a bulletin board? Like, why didn't you go through a realtor if you want to sell your house? Of course, Daisy's like, why? And Sarah says, because I want to sell this to somebody who I know will love it and not tear it down and destroy what it means. I want somebody to actually care about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't understand. And she goes, my alpha father built this house for my omega father. The Notebook thing, he builds the house for the girl. And then she's like, but in order for you to understand the importance of this house, I have to tell you their story. So like you get the beginning of the story, which is just Daisy talking to their daughter, and then it like leads into her telling her parents' story, like The Notebook, and how Bucky and Steve got together and how they became each other's everything.
That is so sweet. I'm really kicking myself that I didn't read that one before we had this chat.
And it is literally one of my favorites. Now, the one is also one of my favorites because it is the only it's the only fic I've ever written that never shows Bucky. It is very Stucky oriented, but it never shows Bucky at all.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. And it's literally Steve waking up from the ice and finding out that everyone's gone.
I have read it.
Yeah.
Although it was a while ago, so I'm gonna have to go back. And when I first started reading on AO3, even once I first got an account, I was really horrible about remembering to hit kudos or remembering to comment and stuff like that. I didn't comment for the longest time. So there is a very real chance I didn't actually put a kudos on that one because it's way back at the start.
Completely understandable. I have this thing that I do where even if I don't like a fic, I kudos. And here's my reasoning. Well, first of all, it doesn't mess with your algorithm because it's not like they say related works or anything at the top of the page, right? I do it because even if I didn't like the fic, somebody out there liked it. Yeah. And somebody still put their hard work and their effort into it. And just because it wasn't my thing, their summary was good enough for me to open it.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I
do try and make a point of doing it now. And anything that I
if
bookmark.
I
So I have some fics that are personal bookmarks. So it's got some sort of weird added tag on it, like wow, or all the wow, or something crazy.
Which authors can see and we love.
I know. So just to let everybody know, if it's in the library, it has an FSBC tag on it and it has a category tag on it. So it could be FSBC as one tag and kidfic, which means it's in the library, it's under the kidfic tag. Now, if it's got FSBC, kidfic, wow, holy crap, this is hot, it means it's both a personal bookmark and a library bookmark. So that's how that's a bit of insider, so you can find out what my actual personal tastes are like. Because I've got a lot of stuff in the library that it's not my thing, but it's well written and it's done and it's got enough attention that it deserves a spot in the library.
I will say I'm not sure if it's in the tags for Last Great American Dynasty, but it is partial kid fic. There's a little bit in there, but it's not really in the tags because it's Sarah. Yeah. So she's old, but she's also a kid because she's telling the story. Yeah. And actually, like when you meet Sarah at first, you're like, is that? But you're not sure. So like that's the fun part. I just love that fic so much. And I poured so much hard work into it. So like I said, like I wrote the first half of it and then posted it and waited like 6 months. But when I wrote the second half of it, I wrote all like 15K of the second half of it in one night while watching The Notebook, Dirty Dancing, and The Great Gatsby in order. But of course, I'm an idiot and ended with The Notebook. So I ended up crying myself to sleep.
Right, yeah. Now, we've actually been talking for like an hour and a half, just to let you know.
That's not unusual for me. I was speaking to Night Watch the other night. We were on for 4 hours before either of us realized it.
So I am going to finish off with that final one, your favorite work of anyone, which you have a list. Yeah. So I would love to hear it.
So actually, most of these are gift fics from gift exchanges that I was part of. So I'm just, putting that out there. So Marshmallow World by Allegedly Anne, which is movie night with the Avengers Christmas edition, including one hopelessly dense Bucky who does not get hints, hot chocolate with marshmallows, a very soft pullover worn by Steve that makes an excellent pillow, and Lucky, a good boy, but also a tripping hazard.
Pretty sure I read that one.
And then Brooklyn Bakes, which you all love. Yes. There's Loving in the Air by Peachy Bucky's and Vex Beverage. That's actually Shrunky Clunk's fic from last year. Bucky owns a thrift shop and Captain America is looking for furniture for his new apartment because Tony stocked it and he hates his modern furniture. And so he goes to the thrift shop to get stuff. And as a serial thrifter, I adored it. And then The Restoration Artist, which is a Shrinky Clinks fic, not part of Shrinky Clinks Reverse Bang. It was actually the first fic I'd read when I was getting back into Stucky. A conservator of rare oil paintings for the Met, Steve Rogers thinks of himself part scientist, part archaeologist, and hardly an artist in his own right. Only when he's faced with the daunting task of restoring a frozen painting from a recently unearthed Nazi art hoard does he start to feel his passion for the craft return. Before he has a chance to understand what that means, Steve is transported to the 1940s, where he meets both the Winter Soldier himself and his own destiny.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't think I've read that one. So I'm going to have to look it up.
You will.
And it is putting it out there. This is the whole self-indulgent thing. Like I do this to find new stuff that I want to read. So I'm talking to the authors I like to read and the people who are behind the things I like to read. Like you're behind these bangs. Like you're up there. In my opinion, you are just as important as what the authors themselves are. So finding your favorites is finding my new favorites. So thank you so much for putting up with me for this long, for starters. And for agreeing to do this. Like you genuinely have no idea how much I appreciate it. Like I said, it's all self-indulgent from me. It's
yes. Everything in fandom is self-indulgent, and if you say not, you're lying.
Like, Thank you so much.
I will warn you. The restoration artist is 109,209 words long, or 38 chapters.
That's all good with me.
So for those who don't do long fic, I'm sorry. Long fic is my kryptonite. And then Memory to Now I Can't Recall, which is while on a mission storming a Hydra facility, James Buchanan Barnes touches the one of many strange alien devices collected by the Red Skull. He does this in fact twice, in the past and the future. Yeah. And that's where like the Winter Soldier and Bucky switch places.
There's a whole thing at one point where Steve is trying to explain to the Winter Soldier about something that happened when everyone was drunk and someone lost his shoe. And the whole reveal that it wasn't actually Bucky, but it was the Winter Soldier in that situation. Look, I'm sorry, not sorry. I've just given away spoilers here.
Also,
that's so well done.
And I loved that part, but I also had to laugh to myself because, as you said earlier, you started in the Supernatural fandom too. I lost my shoe.
Yes.
I giggled so hard. I was like, this is such a good telling moment, but also I lost my shoe.
Exactly. I'm not gonna lie. It would have made that fic if someone had announced pudding at some point.
Pudding. Oh my god, I do that whenever I can't think of something and I'm in an awkward situation. I just scream that. It's great. And then I'm almost done, I promise. They Know God, But I Know You by Lucana Lady. I'm hoping I'm saying that correct. It's dumb. Steve shakes his head. People are stupid for turning this place away as quickly as they did in the past. Spin through a lot of owners. This piques Sam's interest even more. His eyebrows lift and he looks around. Someone died here or something? Actually, Steve murmurs, pulling the sleeve of his sweatshirt down over his hands. He takes in the apartment before him with a nervous smile. Legend says it's haunted. Or, how many tropes can I fit into one long-ass Stucky fic? And of course, it is a ghost Steve where, well, it's a ghost Bucky. It's Steve moves into an old apartment that was actually the apartment Bucky grew up in.
Yeah.
And Bucky's a ghost in the apartment.
See, I read a reversal of that.
Yeah, there's a reason for it. And I think that the reversal you were thinking of might be the one from the Shrunky Clunks Bang last year by It Was the Band.
I think it might be.
It was the band. And she was telling me about this last year, and I wrecked her this fic because she was talking about that idea she had where she was like, Steve is a ghost in the apartment. And I was like, you need to read this fic. So I wrecked her this fic. She didn't read it yet, but I'm like, girl, it's such a good fic though. Yeah. And then Fool in the Mirror by the Pinup Chemist.
Yes.
Which is very popular. So I'm sure a lot of you have read that one. And then, of course, the last one is the Compatible series by the 1918. Which, yes, if you haven't read that, I'm not gonna read the description of that one. Genuinely, everybody read it, that's your fault.
Everybody who has even the slightest liking in this fandom for Stucky, they need to read that series. They need
even if you don't like ABO, even if you don't like ABO, I mean, I get it if you don't like ABO, but also like it's heavily ABO, but also like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Which
it's so hard to explain. I mean, yes, it is ABO, and I know that people I do realize that people have a quick thing with that.
Yeah, but there's some people who just can't do it, which I understand. And some people it's because of,
But honestly, if you only ever give one ABO fic a chance,
Compatible,
make it that one. Genuinely make it that one. It is 100%. So well done.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It actually is what introduced me to ABO. And what got me into it was the Compatible series. I hadn't read an ABO before, and I read the Compatible series, and I was like, oh my god, the 1918. And then the 1918 joined Shrunky Clunks Bang last year. And the moment I saw her name pop up in the server, I was like, I know I'm a mod, and I hopped into her DMs and I was like, I love you. Like, I love you and adore you and love you so much. Like, I don't even care if you finish this thing. I will always love you.
there are a few authors, and my personal preference aside, there are a few authors who I active and inactive, who are basically legends in this field, and 1918 is one of them.
Yeah, like, no, 1918 is amazing. Actually, so one of our mods was actually the co-author for their Shrunky Flunk Spaying last year, and they talked about a lot about Farmer Steve, and 1918 is just amazing. Like, I really love her. I think Lynn's pronouns are her. I really love her fics. And like that's what got me into ABO, and now I'm over here doing a collab with Oh I Swear, who I'm also like freaking out about the fact that she even wants to collab with me. But I mean, I've talked to T a lot recently.
Speaking from experience, I was freaking out about the fact that she agreed to go on record with me.
We've been talking a lot lately, and like last night, somebody was saying that they were looking for a fic where, which they found it, but they were looking for a fic where Steve is Bucky's favorite author, and Bucky writes reviews for his books, and like nobody's seen Steve's face before. You know the one I'm talking about. And like I saw that and I was like, Bucky writing reviews for books. What if we did I was like, what if Cap Steve / fanfiction writer Bucky? Like, and I posted that in the server. I was like, Cap Steve fanfiction writer, and T was like, Mia, why would you tell me this when I'm about to go to work? And I was like, and it's funny because it came to me while I was eating a quesadilla. Like this, literally, I get fan fiction ideas while I'm making sandwiches, while I'm cooking dinner, while I'm making quesadillas. Like literally, I'm nowhere near my computer, and my brain goes, "What about this?"
Hey, so there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you keep coming up with these ideas, either send them out into the universe, write them down, whatever. We're all going to appreciate it.
So we are writing a Cap Steve with fan fiction writer Bucky, and it's an ABO, and Bucky is a 3rd grade teacher who lives with Becca and her 2 kids, and Steve has just gotten out of the ice and he's searching himself up in the archive online, like the United States archive, trying to figure out like what he's missed, and he searches his name and he comes across Archive of Our Own, and he's like, this is probably an archive of first-hand accounts. And then
okay, I'm hooked. I need this. This needs to happen before the end of my lifetime. I can wait. I am happy to wait for fics, right? I'm very happy to wait, but I need to know what's coming.
And it is. I started the first chapter today. I have 2,000 words so far. It started sad, but not on purpose. But anywho, so yeah, he starts reading some of the fics. He's like, what the? He's like, I have never slept with Dugan. What is happening? and he's like, who the hell knew that Gabe and Denier were together? Nobody knew Gabe and Denier were together. and then finally he just goes to Nat. He's like, fuck is this? And she's like, and starts laughing. Because she's like, it's fanfic, dude. And that's as much as I'm going to say on that. But T and I got so excited that we're even going as far as we whispered to each other about sequels to this. So like we are so into this one fic that we haven't finished yet. And I literally, like I told you, I started it today. But we love the idea so much and we're bouncing off each other so well that we're just like, there might be a sequel to this. We're like,
well, if you need a cheerleader, I volunteer my services. It won't go any further than me, I swear.
So we were talking about that, and that's one of the things we had, and I was like, this is happening, this is gonna be great. And that's the thing, like I've only collabed with one other person before, and I haven't collabed with anybody in the Stucky fandom yet. So I was like, when I mentioned it, she was like, oh my god, I gotta write it. And I was like, if you want to, and she said, why did you tell me this now? I want to write this. And I was like, if you want to write it, you can write it. And I was like, just know that I'll probably write one too, because more cake. And she was like, what if we collab? And I was like, Oh I Swear wants to collab with me? Hold hold the phone.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm hooked.
you want to write with me?
I'm
we're
hooked already. So you've already
we've got
at
that
least
one
one
figured out,
cheerleader
and
behind you.
I've got all sorts of other ideas in my WIPs. I've got one fic where all of the Avengers are children except for Steve and Bucky, and Steve is the adopted father of Wanda and Pietro, and Bucky is Nat's dad, and it's ABO. And Tony's that snotty rich kid at the middle school who's like 13, like, oh, my dad got me the newest phone. Bruce is the nerdy kid who's absolutely in love with Tony. We've got Thor playing hockey and Loki as a cheerleader, all in middle school.
Oh my god.
Our principal is Peggy Carter, and it's in my WPs, and I have like 20K on it, and I haven't posted it yet. But it is one idea I have, and then I have another one that's it's just the Avengers get therapy. But it's a Sharky Clunk therapy. So it's a Sharky Clunks where all of the Avengers are in therapy, and Bucky is the only one who doesn't have therapy because it is a Sharky Clunks, and he is the secretary for the therapist. So he hears the weirdest things. Yep. He'll just be sitting there at his desk, and all of a sudden Tony's voice is screaming, "I don't have daddy issues." And of course, there's a moment where Deadpool has to walk in and go, well, the author told me that I had to sit here for a couple minutes. Just, I don't know. She just wants me sitting here.
I'm looking forward to absolutely all of it.
So many ideas.
Dead set. So,
and also I have
because we're going to go over my limit to what I'm allowed to post on my podcast, I'm going to have to call the recording. Okay. I don't want to. I want to keep talking to you.
I will say just quickly, Marvel Arranged Marriage Bang is coming out. We are doing Shrinky Clinks Reverse Bang again. I've got Cat Bottom Bingo, which is not my bingo. It's being Night Watch's bingo. And also my new bingo, Marvel Men Cry 2, which is all about Marvel men getting to shed that toxic masculinity and cry their eyes out.
I can't wait.
Arranged Marriage and Marvel Men Cry 2, Kokuria gave me those ideas. Most of my bang ideas come from Kokuria. She's the one who shoves everything at me.
She's an enabler. She is an enabler.
We love her.
She's an aggressive enabler.
Oh, yes. We call, whenever we need new artists for a bang, we always text Co and say, hey, Co, can you bully people? So yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Shout out for all that fun stuff. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for that as well. And thank you so much for talking to me. I mean, genuinely, it means a lot. And this one, I'm pretty sure, is my longest interview to date. And because it was only two of us on the conversation, I didn't have to split it into 2 or 3, as this one would have been. This is brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you ever have any questions, like you said, like if you might give my contact Discord information to other people if they want to reach out about how bangs work, feel free to do that. Y'all can message me anytime. I'm always around because I never sleep. Awesome. I can't promise that I'll get to you immediately, but I am around.
All good. Thank you so much. I'm going to hit the red button and then